supposedly Amorim and his coaches are big fans of him and what he could potentially bring, which is a very versatile player. Obviously, a lot of emphasis on the wing-backs in Amorim's system. We were linked with Giovanni Kenda earlier in the season, who now looks like he's headed to Chelsea, but Mantato profiles quite similarly to him and brings a lot of the same qualities and operates in quite a similar position.
Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is Academy Review. Joining me as always is Finn, otherwise known as Academy Scoop. Go and check him out on all your socials. How are you doing, bro? You alright?
Yeah, not too bad, yeah. Couple nice games over the weekend, so lots of positives to talk about.
Positives to talk about Manchester United. This is why I love having you on the channel, Finn. You can always give us some positives because it's been a bit of a mixed bag for the first team. We've got the Europa.
Yeah.
We're terrible in the league.
We're in a weird point in the season.
It's just, there's still that hope, and that we could still end up bizarrely winning a trophy and getting Champions League football.
Champions League.
Yeah, which is just, you know, I love the fact everyone's having a meltdown at that prospect as well. But we're here to talk about the youngsters who have been having a good season overall.
Definitely.
You know, we've got to give them credit where it's due, and I think it's been another positive spell for them as well.
Yeah. Well, like you mentioned just there, I think it has been a really good season, but last season, because they were so successful in the league, winning 3 trophies, it's hard to kind of contextualise things, but definitely been a good season, and it was another good win on Friday against Stoke. They were hosting Stoke at Carrington, and it was quite a slow start in the game. Obviously, not much to play for remaining in the league because unfortunately City have mathematically won the league at this stage, which is it's not what you want, is it? It shouldn't be.
It doesn't count though. We all know that. City's trophies just don't count.
Yeah, their 18s are on PEDs as well. So.
Well, there you go.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. We'll throw in an allegedly there. That apparently gets you out of anything you say, on them.
Yeah. It was. I think they're lacking a little bit of the dynamism and the energy that we've seen earlier in the season, but we've still got the job done. It was good to see Shea Lacey back in the starting 11.
That's music to my ears, that.
Yeah, he had a really nice connection with James Overy, summer signing last year, who spent a lot of the season at the start injured, but he's come into the fray now and is getting a few appearances under his belt, and he looks bright and positive on right back. He's really versatile and can play up and down that wing. So but it was Victor Musa who opened the scoring in the first half. 15 minutes gone, James Overy kind of drifted into the midfield, which we see him do quite a lot actually. He looks pretty comfortable in those central areas, and he slipped a nice ball through to Victor Musa, who just needed to dink it over the keeper. Really good finish, and Musa's continued this really, really strong goal scoring form that he's picked up, especially in the second half of the season. It's taken him a while at under 18 level to really bring it together in his game and become quite prolific, but he's finally kind of reached that level, and I'm not sure how many goals it is in recent games, but it feels like he's scoring a couple every game now, which is really nice to see. He ended up getting the second in the second half, just from the penalty spot, but you take those.
You can't dismiss it, can you?
Absolutely.
It's not always easy to score penalties.
Yeah, and it was quite a positive overall performance. There were some nice midfield performances from James Bailey, Jimmy Thwaites, Amir Ibrahimov, and obviously Shea Lacey. These are all really technically gifted, really intelligent players in the middle. So I think Stoke were struggling quite a lot to contain that and contest with that. They're a very physical side, as we saw in the away leg earlier in the season. There was a really good physical battle between Chido Obi and their 2 centre-backs who were able to kind of match him physically. So that was an interesting test for United, but overall got the job done like we usually do. Second half, there's a kind of excitement injected into the game when JJ Gabriel was introduced off the bench alongside Jace Fitzgerald. This is a young player with a lot of excitement.
And young being the operative word here as well.
Yeah, he's 14, doesn't turn 15 for quite a little while.
Yeah.
And so he's made 1 appearance so far this league, came off the bench before, and scored 2 goals, just as you do.
As you do at 14 years old, playing for Manchester United.
It was as part of a 13-0 victory against Leeds, but
that's even better. That's even more impressive.
Yeah. Arguably, this was even more impressive because it was against a really physical Stoke side, and he basically came on and did the same thing. So he got on the ball, drifted in off the left and struck it from distance for technically not his goal, but we'll call it his first of the night.
So tell us what happened. Why are you saying technically not his goal?
Well, so it from range struck off the crossbar and then fell down onto one of Stoke players, which rebounded into the back of the net.
Right, okay.
But we take those. I think if I was in his position, I'd claim it.
Of course you would, wouldn't you? He's had the shot. And
exactly.
they're not going to want to claim it, so you may as well have it.
Yeah, and it was quite a kind of ferocious strike from distance, which is a very positive sign to know that even despite his age, he can really hit a ball. And then just a few minutes later, kind of similar, just kind of floated in from the left side onto the edge of the box, dummied past a couple players and tucked it with his right foot into the far post.
No wonder this kid, I should say, is getting all these plaudits, and so many people are excited about him.
Yeah.
Whenever you talk about him, it just makes me think that United have got to do everything we can to make sure we look after him and keep him as well.
Yeah, that'll be the interesting thing, especially during the summer. As with any player who is as talented as and exciting at his age, there's going to be a lot of interest from other clubs, not just in England but across Europe. There's a lot of rumours circulating about Barcelona holding an interest. They could only sign him in a couple of years when he's 16, so I wouldn't worry too much about that for now. But internally, United feel confident that they can keep hold of him. I'm sure those around him know that United is, you're not going to find a better club to develop at, especially as a young attacking player. My advice to them would be that he's at the right club to go on and become a really important player for United in the future, because that's the sort of potential you're dealing with in someone like him. But he's so young. He's only made a couple of appearances. You need to take it slow and be measured about it. But it's hard not to get excited when you see something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what you want to see. You want to see young players getting an opportunity, taking that opportunity, being looked after, and just entertaining as well and getting amongst the goals. It's
exactly.
Because everything I've heard from you and others who've watched him is just waxing lyrical about him. And I agree with you from everything we've discussed on this podcast. It seems like United is the place to be for a lot of young players, and there's no coincidence that we're able to get players from other clubs who are up and coming and who fancy coming to United.
I think we proved time and time again that there is a pathway there.
Yeah.
If you're ready to take the opportunity, we are willing to give opportunities to young players, as we have been throughout the entire club's history. It's what the club's foundations are built on. And so for young players out there, there's not a better club than United to be developing at. And hopefully those people around him know that and can recognise that, and he can stay at United. That's the hope.
Can I just ask you as well, sorry, just to change tack slightly, but me and you sat here several months ago and you said about Chido Obi, you said, look, you can see him getting some minutes. I'm pretty sure you said maybe even a start. Now, he got a Premier League start, didn't he?
Yeah.
Over the weekend. I think he's the youngest United player
in the Premier League, definitely,
in the Premier League, which is obviously a phenomenal achievement. Just what have you made of his cameos and his appearances for the first team? Sorry to change that slightly, but I do want to get your opinion on it, because you've watched him far more than probably anyone who's on this channel, certainly. And it's a weird one with Chido, because I think everyone can see what a player is, but I think there's just from socials as well, people are now waiting to say, okay, when's he going to get his first goal?
Yeah.
When's that going to happen for him? What have you made of his performances so far, and what did you make of him starting?
Obviously it's an amazing achievement for someone so young to become Manchester United's youngest ever starter in the Premier League. That's a huge achievement, no matter what you do in that appearance. He's come in, and it sounds almost silly to say, but he's done exactly what many people were expecting him to do when he was signed from Arsenal. Had so much interest in him from England and across Europe because of how prolific he was at such a young age at Arsenal, breaking all sorts of records. Obviously yet to score a goal for the first team, but I'm seeing a lot of positive signs for the future of him playing at this level. Physically, I don't think he looks out of his depth at all.
No.
And it was a tricky game for him to come into against Brentford. Obviously, they were the better team really for a lot of the game. And as a striker for United, it seems to be the case that there's not much service there. We've seen it with Højlund. Obviously, there are things that Højlund can be doing better, and needs to improve on, but it's still not an easy task at the minute for strikers at Manchester United, and that's something that needs to change going forward, because they don't get a lot of touches on the ball. They don't really get involved deep in the game, and you saw Chido kind of making attempts to get involved in the game, but he wasn't always the preference in terms of other players passing to him, and so I think it was tricky for him to really assert himself and contribute that much. But there were a couple moments we saw him have that chance in the box where he kind of took it round a player and had an effort, and I think there are positive signs there, and he's showing the ability to be in the right place at the right time, get on the end of good passes, and be a nuisance physically. So I think the goals will come, but there's a lot of belief within the club. That's why he's starting these games at 17. But yeah, you've got to be patient with him. He's a very, very young player. Sometimes I think our expectations are skewed when you look at players like Lamine Yamal doing what he's doing in the Champions League.
Everyone just wants that, don't they? Everyone's like, well, Lamine Yamal's doing it at 17 or whatever. But you have, like you say, you've got to be sort of patient. And also, you can see the qualities there. Yeah. One thing I like about Chido as well is the qualities there. His touch, you can see it, his finishing. I know he's not got the goal, but you can see why he scores so many goals at different levels. But also that physicality is there, because that is a big problem for a lot of young strikers. We've seen it in the past where you have someone like a few years ago, remember Charlie McNeil, who was a fantastic young striker at academy and youth level. Didn't quite happen for him at senior level for United, because you just thought maybe physically he struggled a little bit. But you look at someone like Chido and it's like,
it's kind of night and day there.
He's got that in his locker, and he's got that sort of physical trait. I
think one of his strengths physically is actually that he's got quite a slender frame. He uses it really well, and he's deceptively strong, but he's quite lightweight in terms of his mobility, and he can really move his body around and be agile and mobile, and I hope he holds on to that, because United players have a tendency to bulk up a little bit too much and gain a bit too much weight in their attempts to become more physical and stronger. I hope he can avoid that and kind of keep that nimbleness on his toes, because you look at someone like Isak at Newcastle, one of his biggest strengths is that obviously he's a huge physical presence, but he stays slender and he's able to move so well because of that. And I see a few similarities on the physical side in terms of how they move between Chido Obi and Isak. So that's someone that he could be looking at in terms of who he could model his game on. But yeah, positive signs, and it's going to take time, but I really like what I'm seeing from him.
Yeah, I agree completely. I can see why he was so hyped.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not, you're not looking at it going, what, really? You're looking at it going, oh yeah, I get it, I can see it. And the fact that the manager's trusting him to start him in Premier League games when we need results in the Premier League, is turning into an absolute unmitigated disaster. Yeah. It speaks volumes that he's getting those opportunities. What else have you got for us?
21s.
Yeah.
Played on Saturday against West Ham at Lee Sports Village.
How low is that, West Ham? It's a reference there that you probably won't know, but some people will. Yeah.
Too young for that. Yeah, so it was they're in the PL2 playoffs.
Okay.
So again, a little bit of background. The PL2, with the new format changes as of last season and this season, the top 16 teams at the end of the season go into a playoff, kind of, I guess, Champions League style or like NBA style. And yeah, so this was the semi-final. The quarter-final against West Ham. It was actually a really dull, uncharacteristic start to the game from both sides, to be honest. United fielded a really strong team, the likes of Sekou Kone, Ethan Wheatley, who's come back from his loan from Walsall, Tyler Fletcher, who's been really bright recently, but we never really got going in this game, and we were punished for it early in the first half. There was a loose ball that fell to one of West Ham's attackers on the left side. And they punished us for not really getting out of first gear. It was Adiele, I think, with a nice finish. And yeah, it was weird, because you expect dynamic, energetic football from any Manchester United youth side. Yeah. And they just looked off the pace. I don't know if it's just tiredness now with where we are at in the season. But yeah, even players like Sekou Kone, who's usually so kind of energetic and positive, didn't really grow into the game
until
the second half.
Okay.
Must have been some team talk from Travis Binion. Because things were just completely flipped on their head. United went in with a completely different approach. Suddenly that energy was there, and there were suddenly some really positive performances, with Tyler Fletcher actually in the middle pulling a lot of the strings. So he created the first goal for James Scanlon, just sent a ball out wide. James Scanlon ran onto it and finished really well across goal to level things up. And then soon after that, it was Ethan Wheatley's time to chip in. Again, Tyler Fletcher poking a ball forward. Really, really well taken from Wheatley, who ran onto it on the edge of the box and finished well near post. At this point, West Ham had really kind of drifted out of the game, and United were really in control and looking more like their usual selves. It was interesting, Sekou Kone was playing more as a number 10.
Really?
Obviously, we've seen him playing quite deep most of the time as a number 6 or a number 8, but this time he was kind of in the 10, getting more involved in the attack and in the final third, which is really positive to see, because it's important for young players' development to be playing in a number of roles and different positions, adds that versatility and adaptability to their game. And he was pretty bright, especially in the second half. That's kind of been the trend with him this season, is that he takes a little bit of time to warm up into these games, but once he gets going, he can be really bright. But yeah, next it was Sam Murray, who dribbled the ball up the left side of the pitch. There wasn't a clear passing option on for him, so he just had the effort himself. Took a big deflection on the way, but went in anyway, and we take those.
We take them all day long.
Yeah.
They obviously they all count.
Exactly. So 3-1 United at that point. And then it was Sam Mather. Really, really nice solo goal, actually, cutting in off the off the left, and a beautiful finish into the top right corner with his right foot. Really, really nice quality goal.
I ask you this all the time.
Yeah.
What's the future hold for Sam Mather? Because it was a few years ago, I think, when we was hearing a lot about him. And
he was really involved in the Youth Cup win.
The FA Youth Cup. I remember your predecessor Dave used to rave about him all the time, and I know he's still obviously still young, but I'm just curious, because I just think, what's next for him, especially when you see some of his former teammates have either got into United first team in a couple of cases with Mainu and Garnacho, or
even Fredrickson, who we've seen playing for the first team, is part of that same group that won the FA Youth Cup. So a lot of quality in that group, and Sam Mather definitely at the time was of that similar level. And I think he's in a similar position to Ethan Wheatley, where for one reason or another they haven't taken that big step up to first team level. But for the 21s, he's always got so much quality, always chipping in with goals and assists, and always looks really bright when he plays. He's had a few injuries over the last year or two, but I would have liked to see a better loan this season for him. He went to Tranmere, and it just didn't really work. The same with Wheatley at Walsall.
I wanted to ask you about it, because Ethan Wheatley's another one, isn't he, where I think he got into the first team sort of pre-season and was on the fringes of the first team, and then people looking at it going, what's going to happen with him? You mentioned there the low move to Walsall, which
just didn't work out at all. He's barely got any minutes whatsoever.
In a poor team as well,
yeah,
which
exactly.
says a lot.
It confuses me, because it seems to me like there's not enough communication when these loan deals are being agreed between the loan club and Manchester United.
It's been going on for years, hasn't it? And was it? I might be getting this complete. Where was it? Axel Tuanzebe went on loan once. He did like 10 minutes or something.
I
think he went to Napoli or somewhere like that. I can't remember the exact club, but he went to Serie A, barely played, and then comes back. And you think, what was all that about?
Well, a poignant example is Maxi Oyedele. Last season went to Forest Green Rovers under Troy Deeney. I think he had one appearance, never to be seen again. And
it was Napoli from I think keeper who's been just flogging it up.
And Oyedele was a midfielder with a lot of quality, who fans are there was a lot of fans of him, and it never worked for him, and it was just a really bizarre loan choice. And now he's in Poland doing really well. He performed excellently against Chelsea recently in the Conference League. And that seems like a big opportunity missed. Now we've sold him on a permanent deal. Maybe if he had a better loan deal last season, we would either know that he was good enough to either have a chance in the first team for United or get a bigger fee for him.
Honestly, I couldn't agree more. Like, some players, that no matter what happens, they will make it. They will just break through.
With some.
Yeah, you
saw it with Kobbie Mainoo.
You could loan him, you could not loan him, you could do whatever. You could send him to non-league, you'd send him to a team in the Champions League. It will work. But some players, it's like they're at a crossroads, and if you do it in the right way, they can end up having a good career, whether that's at Manchester United or elsewhere. And if you don't, in those important years when they're 18, 19, 20, 21, they can end up stagnating. They can end up not quite.
It's exactly what's happened for a lot of these players. It's really frustrating.
It is. It annoys me because it's not just that United end up missing out on players, or players that perhaps could have done a job for United don't. But also, what sort of a message are we sending to other youngsters? You spoke earlier about United are an attractive proposition for any youngster, and I agree with that. But we have to maintain that. We have to show that at all levels as well. And if you're just sending players out on loan to clubs that are in disarray, and aren't going to get minutes, it just makes zero sense.
It's tricky because a lot of the players that are victims of this are players that have been at United since a very young age. So it's not a lot of the players who are coming in externally at 15, 16, 17. It's a lot of the players that have been there since 8 or 9. So it is really, really frustrating to see, and it's sad because, like you've said, in a lot of cases they do stagnate because they're not given the right platform and the right opportunity to go and perform at a different club. So we need to be a lot more thoughtful, I think, about the clubs that they go to.
Do you think there's anything in, like, we used to have this relationship, was it Royal Antwerp we used to have, I know it's obviously that was a few years ago, but do you think there is anything in like that, having a better relationship with some clubs or a club, and maybe trying to do something like that? Because that obviously benefited a lot of those players of that age. I know it was a different era, so it's Ferguson, United were flying, but a lot of them went on to have great careers, even if it wasn't at United. We were talking earlier, I think Danny Drinkwater and players like that went there and
I think it's a great tool to have in your arsenal, to have another kind of partner club that you can send those players to, and you can be sure that they're going to get opportunities and that they're going to get minutes.
There's a young lad we brought in from Le Havre, kind of Biek, I'm probably butchering his name, forgive me. There's rumours that he could actually end up going on loan to Lausanne. Do you think that would make sense?
Yeah, I think exactly that would be a good opportunity to test that system of having a kind of feeder club that we can send these players to. If the reports are true, then he will be one of those players that we do that with. It'd be interesting to see how he fares. He's a really exciting young striker. He's played for some of France's youth teams. Obviously, coming from Le Havre, there's the comparisons to
Paul Labille.
There'll always be those comparisons, so he's in good company there. But it's definitely something that we should take advantage of. There was an interesting one with Simone Profundi, Italian attacking midfielder last season, who was signed with a buy option to Lausanne, and then it kind of went quiet there, and then we never took advantage of it. So I think we should invest more time and effort into taking advantage of that system, because Chelsea are doing it really well with Strasbourg. I hope we do take advantage of that soon.
So we've had a bit of breaking news. It's been widely reported that Bendito Mantato is signing or about to sign a new deal. And this is something you broke, I think it was the end of March. You were getting credited, Fabrizio Romano and everyone else was crediting you with saying that this was going to happen. Looks like it's happening now. How pleased are you about this? Because this is a player that you've spoken about a lot and you've spoken glowingly about.
Yeah, it's really, really positive news. From what I've heard, it wasn't actually a straightforward deal to keep him. There's been a lot of interest from other top Premier League clubs, but United have been able to convince him of the pathway. It's really, really great to see United retaining another one of their top talents. He's very highly regarded at the club. He's trained a lot with the first team this season, and supposedly Amorim and his coaches are big fans of him and what he could potentially bring, which is a very versatile player. Obviously, a lot of emphasis on the wing-backs in Amorim's system. We were linked with Giovanni Kenda earlier in the season, who now looks like he's headed to Chelsea, but Mantato profiles quite similarly to him and brings a lot of the same qualities and operates in quite a similar position. So Mantato is typically a right winger, really skillful, a gifted athlete. He's got a lot of burst of pace and a lot of agility, so he can be a real nuisance in terms of his dribbling and getting around the pitch. He can take it on the outside or the inside, which is really valuable, especially for an Amorim wing back. Amorim wants the wing backs to be able to run it along the byline and make it pass with a lot of cutbacks back into the box. So that's something Mantato does really well. He's 2-footed. And he makes really good decisions in the final third, which is another thing that United lack quite a lot at the moment. The decision making is not always there, but Mantato is a really consistent decision maker. So yeah, I think he kind of fits that bill primarily for the right wing back role, but he's also played at left back in some of the earlier age groups and for England's youth age groups quite a fair bit. So he's got that kind of defensive experience. And he could also profile quite well as just a typical right winger or right 10 in Amorim's system. But he's definitely seen as a player that's nearly ready, if not ready right now, to make his debut and come in and have an impact in the first team. And this new contract is kind of proof of that. They're definitely going to be wanting to push him closer to the first team. So yeah, we'll have to see. But the idea I was told in March when I did put that story out is that they do plan to give him a debut this season. So we'll see if that comes this week. There's a chance against Sociedad Bilbao.
Sociedad, I did that the other week. Yeah, it was Athletic Club in it this week, which hopefully will be in a position where maybe a few of the youngsters could get at least a cameo towards the end if it's still 3-0 or if we even increase that lead or whatever.
It would be so good if we were able to kill the match early. Let's say 2 goals in the first half. It would be a great opportunity for Mantato or Jayden Camerson, who's also been on the bench and would play in a similar position. They've actually struck up a really, really nice partnership this season for the 18s and the 21s. And I know that they're good friends off the pitch, so it'd be amazing to see one of them or maybe both of them make a debut. You never know. But yeah, definitely really positive for United to be tying down Mantato on a longer term deal. Because he's, like I said, he's one that a lot of clubs have been interested in and fits this modern profile of attacking player that a lot of clubs are after. So yeah.
And well done to you as well. You had that story in March, the end of March. You said it was going to happen. You said that United were working on a deal and this was going to happen, and now it has, and everyone's sort of been quoting you about it as well. So good work. Keep up the good stuff, man. This is why we have you on this channel, yeah? Reliable. One of us has got to be in it, Sim. Finn, always a pleasure. You're going to be joining us for the watch along, aren't you, Thursday night?
Yeah. That'd be exciting.
Well, I hope it's not. I hope it's boring. Actually, not you. Yeah. I don't mean you being boring. I hope the game's boring. There's no drama. There's not much happening.
2-0.
Yeah, 2-0 to United.
Couple debuts.
So there's no drama. Maybe that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Bendito Mantato and Jayden Camerson have been in the travelling squad. I would really love it.
That to see them two involved. Who knows? So make sure you are subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on that. Go and follow Finn on your socials. Academy Scoop, breaking all the latest Academy news. That's been Finn. I've been Jay. This has been Academy Review. Thanks for watching.